Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome all to another Propagandacast with me, your host, Imperial Dane, and today I have for you a 1 vs 1 on Sturzdorf. Yes, indeed, we will be going through that small industrial area of Sturzdorf with the Opel Blitz, apparently dumping stuff into this small puddle of water, or is it fuel? I don't know. But it is there, the Opel Blitz of the Wehrmacht. Not really used in game except as sort of, well, things to look at and used in the campaigns for, well, being blown up, really. Sad, really. Nice truck. Sad you can never really get to use it. Anyhow, that's what we're here to discuss. This is not the Opel Blitz cast, as some of you might have already deducted. This is the Propaganda cast, and we shall be, of course, having a look at the map briefly. What is this map? This is, of course, a dense industrial map. There's a lot of things that can block line of fire, and site buildings tends to be it, or something like this huge stack of wood, for example, is also really good at blocking line of fire. Of course, that can of course be used by a rather clever, mobile, adroit player to sort of deny usage of MG42s or packs, any sort of weapon like that, which of course much more of a support and static weapons can really have a problem with this sort of map, since of course there are so many things that can easily block the line of fire and make things a lot more hazardous for the frontline infantry, which will of course be doing most of the fighting. Victory point right here in the far east, farthest away point from the two bases, more or less, also where the high fuel point of the map is. There are some other points closer to the base, but they don't quite yield the same amount of resources, and of course this fuel point is protected by a rather nicely placed strategic point, which also in fact can't really be protected from these buildings, since there's a big train blocking it all. Yes, damn you train, damn you and your nice structural looks. Anyhow, of course, there's also these points, which of course can also be a bit hard to defend, because again, buildings blocking line of sight, which of course can make it a bit easier to, for example, harass them in some cases. But let's go have a look at our opponents in the southern corner. We are seeing Travelintelligence of the Wehrmacht, probably not of the Abwehr, which was the Army's intelligence service, I believe. No, this is just Travelintelligence, 353rd Infantry Division, or Grenadier Division. Ready to show those Yankees what this is all about. And yes, the opponent is an American. Been facing a lot of Brits here these latest few days, so I figured it'd be nice with some Americans. And of course shall be the American commander. It shall be, oh dear, it's that chap again, AODeVOI, or AODeVOI. I'm not entirely sure that's the trouble with these sort of names. You generally don't have a clue as to how you pronounce them, and sometimes you're worrying if this might not be more some sort of thing to summon some dreadful elder god from beyond the stars, rather than just some sort of username. And generally a good rule of thumb is, of course, pick something you can actually expect people to pronounce, and remember the pronunciation rules for it if there's something complicated about it. Just sort of me, and of course I'll just be referring to him as AODeVOI, because that's how I pronounced it in the first time around, and I'm sure to piss off the owner of that name just for the hell of it. So yes, there's your lesson. Don't pick a name that's hard for me to choose if you expect me to cast the game. Yes, you've seen the mean side of the Dane now. Well, not really. Just more the lazy side who can't be bothered to remember. Anyhow, we of course are seeing the Americans, 28th Infantry Division, making its way through this area, hoping to find as few krauts as possible and just secure this area from Uncle Sam. Of course, they probably won't be getting much out of it, since it's a brickworks, it seems like. And the Americans in Normandy didn't really have a huge need for bricks. Wasn't like. So anyhow, let's get this game started. Pioneers. We're going to be seeing Wehrmacht quarters going up. Unless he's really sneaky. No, he's not. Wehrmacht quarters there. Jolly good show there. And a barracks up. No weapon supports in the start there from AODeVOI, or AODeVOI. Wool. A bit of polite speak there. Jolly good show. Pioneers rushing past the other pioneers who are finishing up that Wehrmacht quarters. Could be sort of built on the Widerstandnesten sort of construction of the Wehrmacht buildings they had there. Elaborate bunker systems, well, more simple ones, built for holding the beaches of Normandy. Some for providing living quarters, others not so much. Basically more meant to hold off the Allies. They could certainly look like a bit more of something of the living quarters style, meant to prepare the Wehrmacht troops and give them something reasonably safe to live in, beyond artillery and whatnot. We are seeing engineers marching out to both sides, not going for this fuel point, rather interesting, going instead for both munitions point, whereas the Wehrmacht commander is also ignoring the fuel points. Rather interesting, decisive strategy in ignoring fuel points. Not entirely sure how to look at that. No finding there, going for some fuel, although the Americans does seem to continue the streak of not going for fuel, although going for lots of munitions. Looks like we'll be seeing a small engagement here. Riflemen moving in from the north, Volksgrenadiers from the south, Pioneers holding this area. Riflemen opening up on the Pioneers, Volksgrenadiers moving in into the small area of trees, getting a few good shots off on the Riflemen while the Riflemen are gunning down the Pioneers. Pioneer number 2 barely makes it out of there while it's coming. No, he did not. Pioneer team was lost already this quickly, and that was rather unfortunate. Too slow to retreat, but he did get a bunch of American riflemen, although not quite to make it up that loss of a Pioneer team. And we are seeing an MG42 on the field, but that's already around the heavy setbacks, and of course that will be meaning that he won't have so much to actually seize territory right with off the bat. That might hurt him in the longer run, or at least in the short run. MG42 making its way forward, American troops holding up right here at the headquarters, waiting for some comrades to join in from this barracks. Not quite made of concrete, as some of you might already have noticed. There we go, riflemen marching out. Volksgrenadiers sneaking about, seizing points wherever they can. MG42 setting up, and where does it set up? Right behind this huge pile of wood. Not really able to hit anything if it comes from this angle, which could prove to be detrimental. And just plain unfortunate. I mean, it's jolly good if there's nothing that can actually come from here, in which case the MG42 does have a nice sort of, what's it called, defilade position, or is it enfilade? I can't remember. But on the other hand, currently he might just end up being flanked. He might not really be able to help anything on this side. And there we go, riflemen sneaking about in the north, and they might in fact be able to, yes indeed. Right now the MG42 won't actually be able to hurt it, since it's right through. It will have to fire right through this wood, and of course it can't, so there we go. Not the best placement, and the Volksgrenadiers apparently are not aware of this and are standing right outside. The MG42 is not moving in to support. Volksgrenadiers moving in from the east, but they will apparently be too late, and there we go. Volksgrenadiers forced to retreat. The MG42 sort of shifting about, but doesn't really get it off properly. Pretty bad placement of the MG42 there. Be again aware of sort of things that can actually block your line of fire, and of course be aware of what might actually try to use it blockage to their advantage. Riflemen getting out of there most swiftly. Riflemen moving from the east of this position. Engineers getting gunned down in the west. MG42 still not turning about. Riflemen going in through the east, ignoring this position. This Schwerpunkt riflemen sneaking about in the north as well. Engineers again able to use this sort of blockage, or at least a surviving engineer. That's a bit unfortunate there, but now Volksgrenadiers moving in, and there we go. Just in the nick of time, they managed to stuff a jackboot up his ass and stop him from seizing territory. Still not a lot. In fact, looks like this last Pioneer team is also in trouble. Volksgrenadiers are further on the move. Lots of Volksgrenadiers, and these riflemen are charging in, trying their best. MG42 also trying their best. Volksgrenadiers as well. Looks like these riflemen might take a bit of a beating, but this MG42 might as well. Who shall be forced to give up first? Look like this might be the riflemen. And looks like we are seeing some Volksgrenadiers forcing away these other chaps who are, though, in heavy cover. The Volksgrenadiers are not. They only have an Opel Blitz to cling to, and that's not doing too much. But then again, these riflemen are getting absolutely gunned down. In the meanwhile, these other riflemen are also barely making out of there. My goodness, those are some very lucky riflemen, except they sort of lost their entire team. I suppose that might be reason for some therapy in some cases. And we are seeing further riflemen making onto the field. Volksgrenadiers are quick to split up, though. That's a bit unfortunate. Pioneers moving about while these engineers with flamethrowers are securing the east. Riflemen taking up position here in what I always call the administrative building of this small work camp sort of barracks situation. Could be the holdout of some Reich Arbeitsdienst or Organisation Tod. Two paramilitary organizations used for construction duties, and would also usually find themselves as sources of infantry. When things came about and got heated up during Normandy, they'd usually find themselves drafted in. In some cases they were able to be equipped with weaponry, in some cases not so much. That's sort of what's happened during Market Garden, where they in fact were partly equipped with British weaponry they had captured from the air landing troops, and partly from some very, very old World War I stocks. Anyhow, so let's return to the fight. Trying to deal with this ensconced rifleman team with some Volksgrenadiers who are out in the open and an MG42 team. That's going to take an awful lot of time while we are seeing these some Volksgrenadiers forcing back these engineers, but not able to kill them. And we are seeing BARs being equipped. We can in fact hear their rapid fire going away. Pioneers moving in with a flamethrower though. Opening up right there on these riflemen right in there. That's going to be a very, very unfortunate situation for those riflemen as they are getting toasted up. There we go, retreating down to 4 men, all low on health. Could be a good idea to set that MG42 up there, perhaps barbed wire off this area, perhaps set up some mines, but no. Volksgrenadier is encountering some riflemen out in the open with BARs. One Volksgrenadier is down. Those other chaps will have to coordinate with those if they want a chance. No, Volksgrenadiers are retreating, having lost 2 men in a rather swift bout. Phew, that was quick. And we are seeing a creek barracks up rather swiftly. Grenadiers hitting the field. Hager also hitting the field, although not the actual battlefield. Meanwhile, looks like these riflemen are moving on. These Volksgrenadiers. Volksgrenadiers will have to take up cover. Come on, cover. Do not be standing out in the open while BAR fire is raining down upon you. Retreat, and we are seeing some riflemen charging into the midst of everything. And gunning down a lot of things. In fact, Volksgrenadiers, MG42 gunners, and those MG42 gunners could really do with some reinforcement. Looks like those riflemen might be lost on the retreat. My goodness, will this be the first actual full loss of a team to the Americans? No, it was not. My goodness, he's quite fortunate in that regard. Volksgrenadiers getting reinforced. Grenadiers hitting the field, marching in. Panzer Shreks being equipped. A kitten Panzerbüchse. And the Pioneers are standing about doing absolutely nothing. Although we are seeing a few mines being laid down. But again, barbed wire could be of help. Sandbags be of help. Retreating that MG42 and reinforcing it all to be of help. Again, remember, barbed wire and sandbags can't really make a difference when it comes to creating your own defensive position. Of course, minimize the amount of area your opponent can maneuver in, which of course might also give you more time to gun him down before he actually does any damage. Clumping up right here, not entirely sure why he's doing that. 2 teams can't actually capture a point faster. Of course, Grenadiers capture faster than Volksgrenadiers. Anyhow, Volksgrenadiers could also do with being retreated rather swiftly. Americans are securing the east. Meanwhile, we are seeing a new large American assault force moving in. Flamethrower engineers, riflemen with BARs. Looks like an engineer team has actually been lost. Or perhaps it never existed. More riflemen hitting the field. Looks like we are in fact looking at 5 rifleman teams, all with BARs. That's an awful lot of firepower. There we go. Barbed wire. Volksgrenadiers caught on the wrong side. And of course, no heavy cover. Grenadiers pulling back. What? Although it looks like some engineers are forced to retreat. Volksgrenadiers of both teams will have to retreat. Oh dear. Volksgrenadiers taking heavy losses. Other team will also have to retreat. Awfully low on health. Riflemen moving in from the west, taking up position in the administrative building. Oh dear. Very dominant position. Oh dear. Volksgrenadier team is cut down. I told you to retreat them, you dumb cuff. Grenadiers holding out here behind this large stack of bricks. And riflemen charging in, getting close, and the Grenadiers are actually abandoning it. Oh, they're standing out in the open. Retreat them. Come on, retreat, you. There we go. I'm not entirely keen on this fellow's unit preservation skills. He really needs to work on actually retreating in time. Another MG42 hitting the field. Volksgrenadiers moving in with MP40s if they can, of course, get the drop. And no, he's not getting close. In fact, he's standing up at distance with MP40s. Oh, come on. Although looks like these riflemen might get gunned apart. No, looks like once more they retreat in time. Riflemen getting cut down. He's constantly cutting down teams to the last man, but he's never actually able to do the last kill. And we are seeing a supply out now. No packs, lots of MG42s right here in a focused point and not advancing forwards. At least not fast enough. Volksgrenadiers getting reinforced. 3 Volksgrenadier teams. In fact, looks like... Did he actually have 4 teams of Volksgrenadiers then? Or did he actually manage to retreat them? Oh dear, I hate it when I miss something. Makes me feel stupid. Anyhow, we are seeing Volksgrenadiers and Pioneers advancing. Grenadiers staying about as well. MG42s advancing forwards, each to their own side. The Amerikaners are holding up the central area again. Dominating position from here. Volksgrenadiers coming under fire again. There we go. Volksgrenadiers with MP40s moving in. Other chaps are moving into a bit slightly better position, not being more exposed. Flamethrowers moving in, but they are too exposed against all of this BAR fire and are cut down as one could have expected. MG42 moving in. And we are hearing artillery going in. Where could this be? In fact, it's time to change over to our American friend from the 28th. And there we go, right on the German infantry. They will need to retreat. Come on, retreat. And we are seeing infantry. One up for infantry. And the grenadiers are lost. Absolutely horrific. Come on, retreat those Volksgrenadiers. There we go, opening up right here. Really looking to be in the Americans' favor at the moment. The Germans are penned in and are constantly suffering horrific losses without really managing the same at the Americans. And what is this? More artillery. Oh dear. Right here on this MG42 position. Apparently it makes it out of there as all of the artillery just hits the ground, damaging some containers of some sort. Could be beer, for all I know. Or sauerkraut. Anyhow, it's opening up on these riflemen. Another team, though, is not pinned down and will be able to charge this MG42. He will need to target it, and oh dear, no, he is retreating it. Volksgrenadiers is moving in. Lack of infantry, no, some fresh replacement grenadiers moving in. MG42 sitting up there. Looks like all Wehrmacht efforts is shifting towards the east, while the Americans are taking up positions here in the west. Not looking too good. Not looking good at all. MG42 getting ready. Volksgrenadiers as well. Pioneers not at all. Grenadiers re-equipped with a Panzer Shrek. And the Americans are going for the motor pools. We'll probably be seeing an armored car very soon. Certainly not the unexpected thing here. Although looks like the Wehrmacht effort right here from Travelintelligence has given up utterly. Not entirely good. And he's sending in the MG42 first without support. Without something to actually check the way. That's a pretty bad move. And meanwhile, we are seeing the Wehrmacht clumped up. He's aware that the American has lots of artillery. Why is he clumping up his troops? He really ought to be knowing better at this stage. And the Americans are hitting quite a bunch of mines at the moment. Jolly good show there. A few losses there. Volksgrenadier is advancing. Veterancy 2. Wehrmacht efforts are still focused in the east. Looks like a large American counterforce is moving in. The motor pool is up, ready to provide Uncle Sam's troops with something slightly more speedy than GIs with their boots. No, it will be an anti-tank gun. Rather expecting something armored to come out of the German arsenal. That's rather interesting. Of course, you could be expecting a half-track, which could do a bit of damage to his riflemen and engineers, if he were actually to get a half-track. But again, he seems a bit too keen on infantry and then clamping it up and getting it killed. And as we are seeing, a mine going down. Engineers and riflemen advancing. A lot of mines. No, that was only one mine. Then I mislooked. And engineers hitting MG42 fire. Well, not really hitting it, but they are getting hit by it. And meanwhile, engineers and grenadiers and Volksgrenadiers are pushing onwards in the west, just as the Americans are attacking in the east. MG42 holding line. Volksgrenadiers are once more standing about doing nothing when the enemy has attacked. Do not seize points like this when you're being attacked. Be ready to regroup, and looks like this entire eastern position will have to pull back. MG42 is getting flanked and gunned down. Come on. Travelintelligence, unit preservation, and no, the MG42 is lost. And once more he seems to be standing about with his Volksgrenadiers, apparently unaware of what's going on in the east. That's terrible. Absolutely horrible. 50mm gun getting ready. Wehrmacht forces pushing onwards. Riflemen charging straight into the line of fire of these MP40 Volksgrenadiers. One rifleman is already down. Oh dear. Meanwhile, we are seeing a pack coming up. Both sides are expecting armor, but and another unit lost in the west as the Volksgrenadiers are now retreating most hastily, taking a bit of fire as well. Not really looking good for Travelintelligence, who really seems to be bungling up rather heavily at this moment all of a sudden. MG42, why is it standing about there? Move it forwards. Vorwärts, mein Freund, vorwärts. Nach der enemy. Something like that. I'm not the best at German grammar, so that probably came off as pretty stupid sounding to any German speakers. We are seeing this fuel pump being secured. Volksgrenadier is actually getting a BAR. Jolly good show there. And there we go, MG42 moving forwards. And looks like something hit a mine. Apparently it was that flamethrower engineer. And we are seeing an M8 getting ready. Armored skirts. Jolly good show. 50 caliber gun. Jolly good show. Not so jolly right here again. Climbing up troops. And looks like we are seeing some riflemen advancing through here in the north. Coming under fire from Grenadiers and Volksgrenadiers. anti-tank gun opening up with a vengeance. Apparently not quite aware that it doesn't have any high explosive shells that can actually do any real damage to the German troops, unless it actually scores a direct hit with those heavy armor-piercing shells. And looks like we are seeing some riflemen right out in the open, and we are seeing the M8 moving in from the north. The pack is actually unable again to hit it. Why? Again, Berling's providing a blocking position. Riflemen though awfully down low on men. Volksgrenadiers though a bit too far away, I feel, and there we go. Heavy losses for some of the Grenadiers, forced to retreat. Volksgrenadiers will also have to pull back. Come on, pull back and move that pack forwards. Pull back. Do not stand out there in the open against units in heavy cover when you only have light. And why are his Volksgrenadiers standing there? That's a really terrible engagement. There we go, retreating. Apparently he's not. Oh dear. Come on, pull back towards the pack 38. And no, he's advancing it. Oh dear. And of course now the M8 is still too forward. No, that was a pretty terrible engagement. We are seeing a medic bunker up, but remember that bit about high priority target and keeping your units next to them. A mortar team and a medic bunker is an even higher priority target. That's pretty much baked for artillery. Don't, and of course, considering again he knows his opponent is infantry, it really would have been made better sense to place it behind something so that building could absorb the fire from the on-map artillery, which I'm sure will be coming any moment soon. Americans pushing onwards in the east unopposed to, again, thanks to the fact that he wasted most of his troops right here against a much smaller force without doing too much damage. Oh dear. Still, medic bunker is good. MG42 covering here, good. Securing area in the west, jolly good. Riflemen getting gunned down, suppressed, but now riflemen can move in from the west, of course. Nothing to actually protect the flank of that MG42. Mortar getting ready to open up, apparently has scored a few American kills. And MG42 stopping the riflemen in the west. Riflemen moving a bit too closely, trying to harass more, but now they're being stopped by the Volksgrenadiers. Suppressive fire from the BARs, quickly putting down those Volksgrenadiers, but further Volksgrenadiers moving in. Again, he seems to sort of miss the point about the MP40s. They're best at close. They can actually do better at longer ranges than, say, the LMG42, but still, you generally want them to be up close to actually do the most damage. And riflemen flanking this MG42 might clear it out. This MG42 has in fact been utterly forgotten. And looks like this MG42 might not make it out, but a flamethrower heroically moves in, forcing back those riflemen. Mortar opens up. Volksgrenadiers and Grenadiers completely halt and getting veterancy free, but nothing else. I can't help but feel he might want to, I don't know, gotten the Sturmarmery up, perhaps gotten a Puma, perhaps gotten a Sturg, perhaps gotten a Nebelwerfer, but something rather than going for veterancy free already. Veterancy free is quite expensive. It's 300 manpower and 70 fuel, and we're seeing an awful lot of manpower and fuel, in fact, for him. Rather extreme. No, wait a minute. That's for the American commander, my apologies. But still, he could upgrade the supply yard, for example. He could do a lot of things with all that manpower and fuel. Instead, looks like he's going for the howitzer. Wehrmacht forces once more clumping up next to a point when there's no reason for it. Not entirely sure I like this. Looks like some pioneers and MG42 gunners are moving about. Grenadiers are still standing about, doing nothing. Volksgrenadiers coming under fire from riflemen who are standing out in the open. Might in fact lose the fight to these Volksgrenadiers who are veterancy 3 and do have a BAR themselves. Riflemen pulling back, in fact, and looks like some Volksgrenadiers advancing also with a BAR. But looks like they might be losing right here, though. Fire is too heavy, and the Volksgrenadiers are already a bit wounded, down to one man already. And no, they're apparently focusing on the anti-tank gun, not the riflemen. Get them out of there, get them. Oh dear. Again, unit preservation does not seem to be a skill, or... Oh, that was rather unfortunate. Right as he was barely out of range, he's dead. And, right, let's just have a look at this placement here. It's not going to do much either side here. It's not really going to be able to fire much from here. From here, it's alright, I suppose, but here, not really. Not here much either. And, of course, nothing here. So that's actually a pretty poor placement on for the MG42. That spot might have been better. That spot better. That would have also been quite good, except for that M8. But again, getting some Panther tricks up first. Then sending away that M8 could have done the trick. So there you go. And ultimately, a just artillery strike there could of course clear it all out anyhow. Let us return quickly once more to the fight. In fact, I do believe it's time for the mid-game analysis, so let's actually pause again. Yes, I'm sorry for all of this pausing and unpausing, and looks like a pioneer is getting ready to be pulled back by a medic most heroically. Really like those medic chaps, heroic folk that never get much talked about except when the Geneva Convention is repeatedly broken, which it was, well, also during the war, so there's no real huge surprise there. Anyhow, what is the situation? Well, some of you might have already been deducted. Things are looking pretty bleak for the Wehrmacht commander. He's doing his best, but apparently that's just not good enough. His tactics are a bit unfortunate. Unit preservation is absolutely shoddy. Constantly losing units where they could have survived. MP Fort is not really being used in the best manner, I dare say. Of course, they can be decent in medium range, but really the best are up range, up close, and several times he's just utterly missed that point. Not retreating when time was, and some poor placement of machine guns, for example, right here in the beginning. And of course, not so much luck with that Pack 38 either. Looks like he's preparing for something in the east, but he really needs to do is actually land a solid blow. He really needs to kill off some American infantry units, or perhaps they mate, do it properly, do it solidly, and of course try not to lose so much to artillery. Again, don't clump up units. Do not clump up units when you know your opponent has howitzers. Howitzers absolutely love clumped up units. It's the best dish. Anyhow, so he really needs to do that. For the American commander, things are a lot easier. He just needs to keep on blasting the Wehrmacht commander. Now that he has, for example, has the artillery, he can really do the trick. Just keep up the pressure, keep attacking from all sides, and generally be a nuisance, and jolly good show there. But for the Wehrmacht, he really needs to establish some sort of safe zone, and he really needs to knock out some American units and then slowly creep forward. But I don't feel that's going to happen. In the meanwhile, let's go have a look at him, in fact, and let's return the match to actually moving. Medics pulling out wounded, and jolly good show. AODeVOI is actually allowing his medics to get out there. Very nice. Howitzer opening up, firing straight at everything. M8 moving in, clearing out one MG42 gunner right away. Pack unable to do anything. Mortar though opening up, it seems. Could do a bit of damage. Engagement right here as well. Rifleman getting gunned quite heavily. MG42 cleared out, in fact. That was pretty bad. Again, terrible unit preservation. But M8 is lost. Grenadiers perhaps helped a bit, but no, probably the pack riflemen moving in. Might get engaged with those highly veteran Grenadiers. Looks like the riflemen instead will be taking up positions there in the building, and of course with the mortar nearby, that might actually end up being a tomb for those Grenadier riflemen. Of course, a grenade through the windows could also be of help. Come on, you have the munitions for it. More Grenadiers moving in. Oh dear, he's presenting another fat target for artillery. Come on, a grenade through the window. It's not that hard. And there we go. Artillery right down on this huge clump. Come on, you've seen the red smoke. Get out of there. And 2 Grenadiers lost. Our Grenadier team is lost. Oh dear. Again, unit preservation, or in fact interpretation of smoke signals, apparently does not really go into his sort of strategic dictionary. Usually when you see red smoke near your own units, that's bad. White smoke is not really a good thing either. And there we see flamethrowers moving in against this mortar team, forcing it back. Of course, at the same time, he is spotting this medic bunker, which is yet to actually produce an entire team. Rangers now charging in with bazookas. Goodness gracious. Not a lot of infantry. In fact, down to 2 infantry teams, a flamethrower and a mortar and a pack. No MG42s either. Pioneers doing their best, scorching Americans left and right. Sending in them running. In fact, Volksgun is charging in, and these Rangers who are trying to take a point while under submachine gun fire. Veterans 3, Volksgun is doing the best, but they are getting absolutely gunned down by these Rangers despite everything. Grenadiers are in fact reformed. Jolly good. Man's continuing forwards, but he will need to retreat those Volksgrenadiers, and we are seeing Blitzkrieg being chosen. Finally took him time to get the doctrine up. Looks like we might be seeing some Stu-42 on the field. Still not a single grenade. Why isn't he using grenades? Grenades can really do a nice job, in particular when these Rangers are so packed up as they are. A single grenade right there, and artillery now flying in at the medic bunker. Oh dear. Mortar rounds hitting the Rangers, but still no grenades from the Grenadiers. And looks like a unit was killed. What was that? I cannot say, but still really looking pent up, not looking too good. Rangers though getting gunned down, it seems, getting mortared down. Stu 42 on the move, Sturmhaubitze calling upon some heavier fire support from a nearby Panzer division, or perhaps the 17th SS. Anti-tank gun moving up and wisely does not charge his Stu 42 in. That's at least something he's doing that. Well, this anti-tank gun might find itself on the wrong end of some grenadiers and flamethrowers. Trying to retreat, riflemen are awfully close. Grenadiers are charging out, they are banding the crater, but there we go, Stu 42 fire. 3 kills with 1 shot, excellent job there. It looks like he might be killing some riflemen. There we go, rifleman team lost. Anti-tank gun cleared out. Stu 42 blazing in without support. Oh, come on. Travelintelligence, are you really an oxymoron? Or at least not fulfilling that intelligence bit. Oh dear, he's hoping to charge the howitzer with the Stu 42, but instead he's going to get sticky bombed. Riflemen though apparently obliges for filing in under the threads. Oh dear, Rangers moving in from the flank again. Why on earth is he doing this? And now getting knocked out. Grenadiers and Pioneers forced back. That was pretty terrible. Grenadiers did move in, but too late, and now we're actually seeing a grenade being flung. Again, too late, but doing absolutely terrific damage, but forced to retreat nonetheless. And now artillery once more is flying. Probably right here at this mortar. He will need to get those units away. Oh dear, Volksgrenadiers taking a hit. Come on, get the hint. Your mortar is a target. Apparently he does not get the hint. There's something called counter-artillery. That basically means hitting the other chap's artillery with your artillery, and in this case the artillery of the Germans is of course the mortar. Apparently the mortar team though is extremely lucky this time around. Extremely lucky, really. Grenadiers charging out and another Stu 42 being sent in. Will it survive longer than the previous one, or shall it be subjected to the same mistakes as the first one by its rather unfortunately intelligent commander? Pioneers advancing, no support. Well, there's the Stu 42 and the pack, but oh dear, don't tell me he's using the Stu 42 to charge. Charge once more at the... Hard to know, he's opening up here on these riflemen. 1 shot flying, blowing up a huge chunk of the building, in fact. Oh dear, will these riflemen make it out there in time? No, the building collapses as a pack shot hits it. Oh dear. That was a rifleman team lost rather quickly, in fact. And artillery fire once more, apparently trying to hit that. No, it's now flying right into the Wehrmacht base. Grenadiers heading out. Stu 4. Oh, come on. Would you at least like to pretend you know what you're doing? Now advancing once more. Still not close enough. In fact, hitting everything else. Come on, retreat the Stu. Retreat the Stu. MP40 equipped Volksgrenadiers moving, and flamethrowers would really get out of there. Get out of there unless you're going to use assault. No, Stu 42 gets absolutely sticky bombed. Engine is destroyed. Come on, use those Pioneers to repair. Howitzer cleared out. Riflemen moving in for another assault. 1 down. Come on. Pull it out of there as soon as you can. Volksgrenadiers moving in with MP40s, but they're not really going to do much. Riflemen taking some minor losses. Pioneers desperately trying to repair the Stu 42, but I fear it shall be lost. And a Sherman tank has hit the field. Oh, God. Volksgrenadiers will be lost as well. Oh, come on. Looks like the Volksgrenadiers will be making it out there, but those Grenadiers, why is he sending them in? Why is he sending them in? Stu 42 now lost. Grenadiers throwing a grenade. Americans retreating, not losing anything. Get those Grenadiers out of there. Oh, God. And now calling apart upon a tank. I fear what fate awaits that poor tiger. Barely anything left. Some Grenadiers, a mortar, a Volksgrenadier, and a pack. Advancing Grenadiers towards the east. Sherman charging in, lots of munitions, and he's calling in another Stu-42. Why not the Tiger? Götterdämmung. I'd really suggest this fellow goes to the eastern front. That's absolutely, oh god, terrible. Rangers moving in under the aegis of the M4 Sherman. Oh dear. Grenadiers reporting that the objective is unser. Good show. At least you're doing your job compared to your commander. Again, why he didn't go for that Tiger is beyond me. Mortar rounds hitting the Rangers. Pack firing away at the rear of the Sherman. Good show there. But Grenadiers without anti-tank support behind that pack, and the pack really needs to move forward to hit that Sherman. Come on. Grenadiers and Volksgrenadiers clumped up. Oh. Rangers charging forward but being annihilated by the Stu-42. Come on, Stu-42, you can do it for the fatherland. Grenadiers getting gunned down. And the Rangers are cleared out. That's a miracle. Riflemen taking quite a bit of fire. Volksgrenadiers and Stu-42 continuing the work. Mortar rounds as well. Sherman could be taken out if that pack advances. There we go. Advancing slowly, ever surely. No artillery support, though, so that might also be another brief relief. But those Grenadiers are on their own. Oh no, Riflemen charging in. Retreat, retreat again. Knowing when to retreat is the key at times. But apparently, as we've already noticed, Travelintelligence doesn't quite possess the intelligence to do that. Pack opening up on the Sherman. The Sherman apparently quite unaware that it's getting gunned down, and too late. The Sherman is no more. It is a wreck. Looks like Travelintelligence is actually, despite all of his mistakes, actually slowly making things a bit better for him. But he really needs to get those Grenadiers out of there before they're lost. Current situation doesn't look much better. I might be getting a Tiger. Come on, get that Tiger. Get some Tiger fun. Hellcats getting out. Heavy machine guns galore, and a few riflemen as well. AODeVOI's M18 moving towards the east. Stu-42 trying to do something there, but it is exposed, and of course now the Hellcat shell pounds upon it like the vicious feline from Tartarus it is. It looks like the Volksgrenadiers will have to retreat. Come on, there we go. Stu-42 not really doing much there, and of course he is aware there ought to be a Hellcat nearby. Retreat that Stu-42. Rifleman getting blasted, but that Stu-42 is going to fight. Yes, there we go. Tiger ready. Tiger being summoned in. Why he hasn't gotten any infantry regency though is beyond me. And now he's charging in his pack, and I do believe it's actually time to shift over to the Americans of the 28th. Stu-42 getting blasted to bits. Destroyed engine. Oh dear. Now the pack moving in. Tiger not moving in from the south. Oh dear, that's not a good sign. And of course artillery being called in on this nice tasty combination. Stu-42 lost. Pack might soon be lost as well. Tiger not able to do much because it's not supporting anything. And of course what he tried to help is now lost as well. Riflemen standing out in the open. Grenadiers hammering away, doing their best. Mortar rounds continuing. Apparently that mortar is the only thing that seems to be going right for him. Volksgrenadiers moving towards the center. Grenadiers here have apparently been forgotten. But these riflemen are taking an absolute beating from these Grenadiers, forced to retreat.
Supply lines are broken.
Four rather beaten up infantry teams, a damaged Hellcat, and some heavy machine guns. And looks like that no, the Tiger did not manage to destroy the Hellcat. That was rather unfortunate. Apparently it was not expecting anything. Schwere Panzerabteilung 101 of the SS. Apparently not having much luck there. Bit unfortunate could of course I suppose also be the 503rd Schwere Panzerabteilung, which I might believe had a mix of Tigers and King Tigers. Although the Tiger was a bit more reliable in that department. In fact, if properly maintained, it was probably about as reliable as the Panzer IV, which was a very reliable tank. But of course, that of course sort of relies on the whole bit that, yes, it's getting properly maintained, getting all the things needed. And we are seeing a heavy machine gun from this small Konstruktionsmechanics. Warner, mein Gott. Apparently a construction office, and no, he's moving his Tiger in too close to the rifleman, getting sticky bombed. Oh dear. And come on, turn around, face the armor to where the enemy might probably be coming from. Oh dear. Rifleman running around, the Tiger trying to hunt it down. There we go. Rifleman standing still and firing off another sticky bomb. Come on. He's just not having any luck with those sort of fancy tactics now, is he? Pioneers moving in to repair. Mortar firing away at that heavy machine gun. Further riflemen charging in. Perhaps hoping to catch the Tiger, which is again not turning around. It's facing in the wrong direction. Always turn in the direction where you're expecting your enemy to come from. Come on, that's basic armor tactics 101. Mortar team too far up front. No veterancy force armor either, which is not really good either. Again, veterancy 1 is always good. Riflemen charging ahead. Panzer force grenadiers, no grenades. Force grenadiers moving in close. Grenadiers getting gunned down. Come on, retreat them. Oh dear, grenadier team is lost. Force grenadiers doing the best they can to these veterancy 2 rifleman team, but the force grenadiers getting, and now he's using assault, not before when he actually had men, but now when they're getting down to very few men. Oh, come on. Are you even trying? Now we're seeing another MG42 being called in. Grenadiers moving about here. Not being sent back for reinforcements, and now those riflemen will be sneaking up a Panzerschreck. That's going to be called very bad. Getting suppressed now. Another artillery barrage going in. Where could it be? Perhaps near this Tiger, which of course near a strategic point or munitions point. Thus of course letting his opponent know, oh right, there's a Tiger there, and of course letting him call in artillery. That's also a bad thing. You don't want your units to be creeping around enemy points this close. They will notice it, and of course calling in artillery as you just noticed. Now lots of armor. Hellcats being called in. That might end up in a surprise attack. And again, he's not turning around the Tiger. Oh, come on. Eat lead, motherfucker. More like sticky bombs, and then he got blown up by the 88mm gun. Rifleman Rangers in fact charging in, getting suppressed by an MG bunker in a last-ditch attempt to hold this victory point. Not having much luck there. MG42 once more setting up in this building. Not entirely sure why he's actually expecting from this. Pioneers not repairing this Tiger. Force Grenadiers moving in. And there we go, opening up close range on the rifleman. No, he's trying to take the point. Oh, come on. And now the Hellcats are moving in. Once more, the Tiger's not facing in the right direction. The rear is actually exposed. No. This man should not be allowed to command Tiger tanks. Oh dear, and there we go. The Tiger is lost. He didn't even bother turning it around. Absolutely sad, in particular when you actually are aware that the Tiger could in fact quickly turn around on the spot, in fact pivot rather swiftly, which is of course something you don't expect. Stu-42 standing about as well. Rangers clearing up this bunker. I'd say this is the end for the 353rd, having called in Stu-42s, called in Tigers. They have wasted it all, my goodness.
Enemy unit down.
I'd certainly say it's a spot in a Strafbataillon from Mr. Travelintelligence.
We're good to go. New recruits in, we're back to full strength.
Preferably somewhere in Courland. And the M8 is not being moved out, instead getting mortared. And yes, mortars can in fact damage armored cars, so keep that in mind. And apparently he's not.
Enemy fire on our position.
Pioneers advancing with an MG42. Only one Grenadier team left, which is being retrained. Stu-42 not able to do much.
Just listen to that engine purr.
Don't think that engine is paying much. And another off-map combat group. He's really just sealing the deal now. There we go, main gun destroyed. How to Shell knocks that out, but the 50 caliber is still a mean opponent. There we go. M8 lost.
The enemy is down to 100 points.
Let's just speed this up, eh? Grenadiers getting gunned down. M18s moving in. Only Stu 42 going to clear that out. Apparently not. They missed both. No, there we go. Engine destroyed. Charging right into the German base. Might call in some artillery right there. And there we go. Artillery right on the creek barracks. And ooh, Hellcat lost and apparently knocked out by his own artillery. The second one was Pioneer standing out in the open, not looking good. Americans securing. Mortar and MG42 firing away as the last two things. Grenadiers charging ahead.
The enemy is down to 25 points. Our front lines are collapsing.
VGG, GG, nice fight, yeah. Sort of, I suppose. And another Grenadier team is cut down. It seems to apparently make it out of there. And once more sending us to 42, and there we go. No more victory points. The fight is lost. The 353rd failed pretty badly, and it's a spot in a Strafbataillon for Mr. Travelintelligence AODeVOI, and the 28th Infantry Division has won the fight over this industrial town as they charge through it, despite attempts by the 353rd to actually hold it. So, what can we learn from this besides the obvious of don't clap your troops up near artillery, don't expose the rear of your Tiger to an opponent, always point your armor in the front of the armor in the expected area of where your opponent might come from, not expose the rear. And of course, Mainz actually did the German commander good, but he seemed to forget it. Bunker placement, not too great either really, but his main problem was unit preservation, unit preservation, unit preservation. He did not retreat his units in times, many times, not in good time, which lost him many units. That was pretty unfortunate, and of course he called on so many Stu-42s and then rushed them in without support, losing them in seconds. In one case it would have been better to go for the Tiger actually. Yet he still went for the Stu-42. Anyhow, so I hope you enjoyed this fight. If you did, why not subscribe or tell your friends, and if you didn't, well, why not send a replay of your own? This is Imperial Dane saying think about your armor. Use it properly, use it cleverly. Cheers.